Hi there folks, a bit windy here today and we have on and off snow. It didn't manage to do any covering, it melted in the afternoon, and I'm down here by the compost to deposit those 2 buckets. But I wanted to check on our plastic covered future seedling bed and do a little temperature measuring experiment. So this is the simplest kitchen thermometer from Lidl, Silvercrest branded, and I just turned it on and I want to see what the ambient temperature is. It's about maybe 6 degrees or something. It's set out at 2.5 degrees Celsius. I hope that this is visible in the video. So now I'll just stick the thermometer about 5 centimeters deep and see if it will measure anything different. Okay, so it immediately jumped to 6 degrees, 6.2, and I think it has settled. I'll try a little bit deeper. No, it's settled at 6 degrees. One of the differences will be that the surface of the soil here will be drier because it hasn't been rained and snowed on. Okay, so now we are back at 2.5 degrees, and I'll measure inside of the plastic enclosure. You can see that it's over 10 degrees the soil here, so that's a good 4 degrees, 10 degrees and a half. That's a good 4 degrees of difference, and this is on a very cloudy day with freezing temperatures last night, and it's snowing. So this means that the temperature here accumulated in the previous days, and the soil is still not cold enough. It hasn't lost all the temperature, and I'm certain that the plastic cover helped. So while I was dumping the compost, I left the thermometer on the surface covered with the plastic. I closed the tunnel for a bit, for maybe 5 minutes, and I can see that it's 5 degrees and a half on the surface, so it's warmer inside even in the cold weather. It's going down now, yes, which is very, I mean, I knew it would probably have a difference, but I didn't realize that just a thin layer of plastic can have such an effect. It's going, yes, it's now at 2 degrees. So now I'll go to the other side of the plot in front of the house and measure the small greenhouse there. Okay, so you can see that the temperature dropped slightly in a couple of minutes, which it took me to get up here. It's now below 2 degrees, just about. Okay, so now I'm measuring the soil down here at similar depth. It instantly jumped to 7 degrees and it's rising. 7.3. I'll measure the other part as well, because here is a bit drier. Yeah, it's a 7.8 here. So overall a nice result, 7.8. So my idea is tomorrow to do similar measurements and compare, because tomorrow the day will be cold, similar to today, but it will be sunny. So we'll be able to compare how does the sunny weather influences the soil temperature inside of the seed starting beds. Hey folks, it's the next day and now it's time to continue my temperature measurement experiment. You can see that, okay, probably you can't see, but it's 7 degrees in the shade today, so a bit warmer. The snow from yesterday all melted, and today we have some cloud cover, but it was sunny a few minutes ago. So let's go to the polytunnel and measure the soil temperature. You can see that we have blue skies today, but with some cloud cover as well. Whoa, so immediately after opening, a wave of warm air came out. And I'll just put it a bit, some of the winter eye. Yeah, immediately it measures 13, almost 14 degrees in here. So even the small amount of air is warmer, 15 already. And it's rising. Almost 16 now. Yes, over 16. And I suppose that if the sun is shining, this will be much higher. So 17 degrees and now and a half. And I'll do first the low depth test, because this is at about 5 centimeters, which is the maximum at which the seed will be sown. So this is what I call germination depth. And you can see that the temperature at this depth is very high. It's almost 17 degrees. I'll try a couple more spots just to... Oh, sun came out. Yeah, let's try a bit deeper. Yes, at 10 or 15 centimeters it's about 11 degrees, and still this is way warmer than the other yesterday. And keep in mind that last night we had a -5 and yesterday it was snowing, so no sun whatsoever. So the rise in soil temperature from yesterday to today is just from this few early morning hours of sun. Okay, so now I'm trying a more horizontal measurement, which is a technique I saw in another YouTube video, where you drive the probe horizontally at the depth at which you want to measure. And you can see that it's over 20 degrees in this surface layer, and it indeed feels warm to the touch. And now we'll do the same, but a bit lower. I think that anything over 10 degrees at this depth is perfect, and I think that with the coming heat wave next week, where the temperatures will be rising above 20 in the day, this soil will be warm enough to germinate even peppers. So we might as well start peppers as well. So the main question for our climate is not so much if you will be able to achieve high enough temperatures for seed germination, because obviously even with a low-tech solution such as a simple plastic cover over a raised bed, you can easily achieve those temperatures even in cold nights and days in which you have snow falling. But the problem is, what will happen if the seeds germinate and the temperatures fall below zero? So for that we did an experiment last year in our neighbors, next door neighbors, which have a large size poly house. And maybe I'll show it in a future video, but we put some tomato seedlings at 2 leaves, so pretty young but still, and they were in the poly house, in the polytunnel, covered with a layer of fleece, those row cover fleeces, and they died in a -5 night. So this plastic will be good for germinating, but not for protecting the seeds. If you want the seeds to be protected, you have to either accumulate more heat in the soil or provide more insulation. Traditionally, the babushkas here in the village, they use their blankets, the ones which you use in-house for sleeping in winter. I think the Americans call that a duvet. So they cover the whole bed with a layer or 2 layers of blankets, and that seems to be enough to protect from frost. But we don't have such blankets here available, and this is the reason why we're not rushing to start seeds very early, because usually here we have frosts up to May, but those frosts are rarely with very low temperatures. Usually the temperature goes about -2, -3 when there's a frosty night in April. But by that time the days are much warmer, so the soil in the bed and all around the bed has accumulated much more warmth, much more heat, so it doesn't allow the space in the seed starting bed to cool off as much in a frosty night. And last year, when our germination bed was already underway, we had peppers and tomatoes germinated there. And then we had snow on the 20th of April and -3 nights. And none of the seedlings at that time died. And the ones about which I told you earlier, they were started in March, so a month early. So you can see that with our cold climate, if you don't have the resources or the money to do another type of solution, if you're aiming for a low-tech solution, timing is the most important element of the whole system. And finally, I wanted to show you our first germinated pea plant here. And I stuck the soil probe next to it at about the depth at which the seed is. And you can see that the soil temperature here is 6.5 degrees. So this is obviously enough for the peas to germinate, especially considering that we've had lower temperatures in the week and snowfall. And you can see that this patch here is left bare. There's no mulch on it, and the reason for that is that in a cold climate such as ours, it's better to have the soil bare until the seeds germinate in early spring and late winter, because this allows for quicker heating of the soil. And if we compare with the mulched side up here, the other side of the bed, and this is the south side and this is the north side of the bed, I will now put the soil probe under the mulch here, so we can compare the 6 degrees in the soil here, just picking a random spot, driving down to through the mulch, and you can see that the temperature is falling down, but it's easily 2.5 degrees, and it's falling lower under the mulch. And with the sunny weather and the rising temperatures, the one under the mulch will remain as low, and the one here in the open bed, it will keep rising quickly, so it will allow for quicker germination. And in case of peas, we like to come later and mulch the base of the pea plants after it has been weeded and the peas are tall enough to get hold of this fence here. So that was all for today, folks, and I'll see you in the next one.